So we are understanding that new development making the rounds as far as the AL Progressives Congress APC is concerned. The party is shifted these primaries for House of Representatives aspirant position to by 24 hours. And again, the party has just released the protocol and the procedure for the appeals for the primaries. However, there are concerns, though, about the situation relating to the consensus arrangement largely being adopted by the party ahead of the primaries. There are some agitating members and aspirants within the party who have now become somewhat going out of the arrangement of the party based on what they describe as imposition of some candidate, which is generating controversies within the party. Tonight, I'm being joined by the spokesperson of the APC, Mr. Felix Morka, who is live for us virtually from Port Harcourt. Thanks so much indeed tonight for joining us, Mr. Morka. There are a lot of speculations as to the reason for changing the House of Reps primaries. If you can tell us, what exactly prompted that change?
Well, the change was necessitated by purely logistical reasons. If you recall, we had our screening operations of the aspirants for the offices just a few days ago. Now, it turns out that some of the committees that were involved, especially in faraway places, experienced some delay in reporting back on the outcome of those screening exercises. And then, of course, after which compilation of those who were successful and those who were not had to be made. And, that had to be, made ready before then dispatching the committees that were to conduct the primaries. So that was substantially the reason. It was just in order for us to have, a full house of information for all of the chapters where these primaries were to take place around the country.
So it is not because there are agitations within the party, those who think that there are now concerns as to the manner in which the party wants to go, and some leaders of the party who are trying to manipulate the process. Those are some of the talks within your party.
No, far from it. The shift in the date for that primary had nothing to do with any concerns or agitations about the mode for the election that is upcoming. Now, Shehu, you know that the Electoral Act made clear that there are two modes by which these kinds of elections are to be conducted. First is the consensus model, and then the direct primary model. Now, in the Electoral Act itself, just like in our Constitution, there's no ambiguity about how this is to work. Now, basically, consensus model requires the agreement of not just the leaders and stakeholders and members of the party, but it requires the agreement of the aspirants themselves, those who have direct stake in that election, who are contesting. Now, the Electoral Act is clear that where any of the aspirants declines to give his or her consent to the outcome of that consensus conversation, where they withhold consent and object to that outcome, it is clear that the system defaults to direct primary mode. So, the consensus model has an inbuilt control mechanism that actually prevents the, outcome of the kind of agitation you suggest people are making. So, maybe they just don't understand how it works, but we try to explain it. There's no, no cause for concern on the part of anyone who objects. If you object, the committee and those involved are required to immediately trigger the direct primary process and then go to vote and have an outcome of that process.
There are those within the APC who believe that the consensus arrangement will preserve the party's unity. But in a sense, there are those who think that it has worked when the party is not as large or as big as it is right now. But it does look like the consensus arrangement is now becoming the party's major headache. We're now seeing protests that have broken out in states like Oyo. We've seen it in Lagos. We've seen it in Kwara. We've seen it in several states of the Federation where people have, and several aspirants are openly revolting against the process. Has the APC leadership lost some kind of control on what it has laid down as a most preferred mode of primaries?
Well, look, the consensus model is not the creation of APC with respect to the laws of our land. That is, enunciated in the Electoral Act. So that's that's Nigerian law. It just happens that in our own constitution, we did, in fact, have that model as well. There's a reason that democracy is also called the consensus democracy. Where there's a meeting of the minds, where those who are involved, the key actors in any political activity agree, they can agree to enact that outcome without any disputes. But like I just said, anybody, wherever they are, whether in your state, my advice to them is to go back and read the Electoral Act and read the party's constitution. Because if you're running to represent people in your constituency on any level, you should be familiar with the constitution of the party. And the constitution is very clear that if in your district you have reason to be dissatisfied with the outcome of the consensus process, you make that clear, and the system is required to, like I said,
Is it true? Is it true that the party has begun distribution of materials for the primaries?
Well, the primaries is tomorrow. As you can imagine, I'm not at the headquarters. I'm in Port Harcourt. But I want to believe that, having published the list of the committee members as of this afternoon, I imagine that process is underway.
So it's taken that the party is conducting the primaries, direct primaries across board. That's the arrangement. That is the plan as of now.
So, everything I said, I'm going to repeat. And the party's position is this. We are in full compliance with the Electoral Act and with our party's constitution that provides for, two modes of primaries. Now, in districts, in constituencies where the consensus model works, where all of the aspirants and the stakeholders agree, to the outcome of that process, that is fine. They're welcome to use that process to determine, the flag bearer of the party for that office. But where that is not possible, the Electoral Act and our Constitution requires that direct primary mode, be used to determine the flag bearer of the party. So nothing has changed really.
Yeah, so Mr. Morka, the president had come out to plead with party members, and part of the inference from president's statement is that consensus reduces rancor within the party. But there are those who say the party has suddenly postponed the House of Reps primaries by 1 day. People thinking that the party is trying to adjust to buy time to contain what has become a growing rebellion inside the party. There are those who think that this is going to be the undoing of your party because the agitation, for example, a former minister, Issa Pantami, former IG of police, and several influential APC figures thinking that what is happening is intimidation. People go to the presidential villa to snap picture with the president, and they take that picture to tell everyone that they have been endorsed that way to silence every other aspirant in the race. This, they say, it is nothing other than intimidation and manipulation of the process and also imposition. That's what they have described it within your party. And I'm actually reading out the words of your party members. There is a growing rebellion in your party. Can your party contain it?
There's no rebellion in the party. What you're describing happens in every party in this country and any party anywhere in the world. People, when people perceive that, maybe it's not going the way they like to see, it's a democracy. They're welcome to say something, to complain. That does not mean there's a problem in the party. It is just the way it is. That's how it works in real life, But I don't think we should overstate this matter. whatever you are suggesting is going on in the APC, whatever you hear.
Is it a suggestion or is a clear, and I'm not the one making this up, the NWC has postured as though they wanted consensus. The president has also meted it as much as that consensus is probably the best way to go. But if you're now going in the way of direct primaries, that does it not show that your party leadership in some way is unpopular with the decision of those grassroots members who are saying you wanted consensus, but that for them is not democratic enough. They want the direct primaries. Are you listening to the voices of your party members?
You are misrepresenting everything and mischaracterizing what the party's position has been all this time. We've been very clear, Sheung. The only election or primary where we have excluded the consensus approach is for the presidential primary. With respect to every other primary, I have been very consistent on this matter, like the national chairman and other leaders of a party. We've been very clear that yes, where consensus model is possible, we prefer it because it's less rancorous. Just like the president said, it's more amenable to peace building and healing and cohesion after primaries. Anyway you can agree. Why fight? Why go quarrel? Why go waste your time and energy looking for other options when you can agree? So agreement is normal everywhere and anywhere, even at Channels Television. When you talk and you can agree on a position, that is preferred in families. That's what happens. It's different in the APC. But the point is that where that conversation does not yield an acceptable outcome, for example, where one of those who are contesting decide that they are unwilling to accept that outcome, like I said, there is a full-fledged facility in the Electoral Act, in our party's constitution, to default to the primary mode. That is what is going on. So nothing has changed at all. In this process, nothing has changed. Sheung.
There's a lot that's happened recently, but quickly before I go into the opposition and the kind of pressure, because the opposition is very serious, perhaps more than ever from what I hear now, it does look like they are not taking any chances. They really want your party out of the scheme of things. They really are working on beating your party very well in 2027, and the race seems to be very intense. But how is your party handling the situation in Rivers State? It does look like the structure of the APC has been handed over to those loyal to the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and we understand that there are growing agitation on the original members of the APC who now feel left out. For example, you hear the names of the people like Honorable Boma Goodhead, someone like Jack Rich, Tanya Jack Rich, whom we are hearing that they may not make the cut because those who are aligned or who are of the FCT minister's side of the divide, politically speaking, are now being cleared and given the right of position ahead of the primaries. And we understand that, in fact, Governor Fubara is totally cleared out of the way. Is that justice? Does that make sense?
So, I wonder where you get all this from. You seem to know more than all those you talk to seem to know more than those of us in the party. Look, this is the political season, and it is the season of a lot of talk, sometimes unfounded, sometimes speculative, sometimes outright, false. You can't stop it. You can't help it. So those who peddle that, my advice is, look, slow down and let the process work, so that at the end of the day, we can have an outcome that is credible, that is acceptable to everybody. But I can't begin to respond to all of those.
No, I'm asking a specific question as relating to Rivers State. Who is the owner or the leader of the party? Who is determining things in the state as we speak? Is Governor Fubara tightly in control of the leadership of the APC in Rivers State? You are on record. Don't forget, Mr. Felix.
So, if it's with respect to the election, I don't know what you mean. Who is in control? Is any leader supposed to be in control of an election, a
So
democratic
let me
election.
ask you, who is the political leader of the APC in Rivers State as we speak?
Look, the leader of the party is the governor of Rivers State.
Is he in control of the party structure and the scheme of things as we speak? Truthfully, Mr. Morka, does he have control? Are the people aligned to him on his side? Are they given a chance? Is he going to even be cleared? Is he going to get the chance of being on the ballot?
Look, when you ask these questions, please permit me to answer the way I consider, proper to answer your question. Because you ask questions that, actually elicit answers that may not be founded in reality or in, proper understanding of the relationship between the party and the executive branch. The governor, is the leader of our party in all the states of Nigeria, not just in Rivers State. That we've made very clear. However, when it comes to elections, there is only one authority that has the power to manage our elections, and that is the national party, the national leadership, the national working committee of the party, has the authority to conduct primaries, not the governors. The governors never have conducted any elections for the party, not in our party, not in any party, as far as I know. So when you frame the question as you do, I can't give you the yes or no answer because you are not framing it accurately. The proper understanding is that there is a political party called the APC with its constitutional organs, especially the National Working Committee, that is the primary manager of elections. So when you say is the governor in control, no governor is in control of our primary process. The party is in control of our party process, and all of the committees that we have sent to Rivers State, like we've sent to all other states in this country, are busy doing their jobs and reporting back to the national headquarters. And following confirmation of those reports and recommendations, we will proceed with the program of primaries as we're doing currently.
Just give me a moment, Mr. Morka. Let me quickly, give me a moment, just be patient for a few minutes with me, but I really want to know, is there an arrangement within the APC that Governor Fubara will not run for second term? Is that an agreement?
Say that again.
Is there an arrangement within the APC that Governor Fubara will not run for second term?
Within the APC? I am not aware of that. At the APC level, I'm the party spokesman, and as far as the party is concerned, the All Progressives Congress, I am not aware of any arrangement in Rivers State.
There is a mounting pressure on your party, isn't it? And the opposition seems not relenting in ensuring that they get you out of prominence. Does that worry you in any case? Just about 30 seconds so we can go.
Well, Shehu, after listening to your guest, the former governor of Sokoto State, do you really think there's anything to worry about? I don't think so. There's nothing to worry about. We're focused on, just acquitting ourselves before Nigerians and asking for their support. That's all we're doing, and our processes are unfolding. We're doing our primaries, and then ready for the elections. We're not concerned about the position at all.
Mr. Felix Morka, it's a pleasure speaking with you tonight, and I wish you and your party the very best in the coming days. May the rebellion not overwhelm your party. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.